Good morning, everybody. This is COOLA from Rawstocks. We have another edition of our pre-market prep here. Wanted to talk about the big drop from yesterday and what that means. So we were eyeballing this potential drop, and man, what a huge follow through. We're getting more follow through to the downside right now. And this is going to be an interesting day. So lock in for a second, guys. I'm going to blaze through this one today. Quick shout outs to our sponsors, Black Box Stocks and Gamma Edge. Without those guys, we would not be able to provide this to you every single day for free. So shout out to those guys. So moving forward, let's take a quick look at something on macros real quick. We're looking at the payrolls today. So big headlines you're going to see: average hourly earnings increased, bad for stocks. Government payrolls down. This means spending's down. Manufacturing payrolls down. That means they're not expecting to make more. Non-farm payrolls. This is the big one right here, y'all. So they revised these, and I don't know if I have it open here, but they revised these almost by like 240,000. So this was like 11K, and this is like 13K. So a huge drop in jobs over the last 3 months, a humongous drop in jobs. And so it's interesting to see those revisions. And you know, it just is what it is. So we're going to see unemployment increasing here. And yeah, let's get into it. So shout out to Warren Buffett, who said this was going to slay us, right? Let's get the S&P data up here. So we're still call dominated on the full complex here. 6,500 ceiling remains the same. That's that big position. It is shrinking just slightly into yesterday, but it is interesting to see that it's still majority there. So keep that in mind. 6,340 here onto the downside on the full complex. So we're below that as of right now. Today it is put dominated, pretty decent, not anything crazy, but a ton of contracts today. So something you need to take note of on that. So there is a 63.40 demand and a 63.70 supply here. There is a ton of overhead shorts here trying to put pressure on the market initially. And so keep that in mind. Any pop based on this data, if this doesn't change, is likely to get faded on the S&P today. Now, doesn't mean we can't get pinned, okay? So you need to be mindful of that today. So looking at the chart today, you can see that our SMA, this is an SMA 20, virtually stands right around 6,300. You have to imagine that that's probably pretty close to a close for us today. So if you want to think about that in reference to like what type of position you're looking to play, you can definitely look at the 6,300 level, which is right here at the daily 20, as a potential closing target for us today. So if you find some contracts that are reasonable, that fit some type of risk versus reward on a close, and you want to buy it and forget it, it's not a bad spot to think about that anytime you're near these. Okay, so let's look at our intraday chart here. Switching over to the black. So what we saw yesterday was just a virtual, just absolute finesse of data. If you guys missed it, check it out on X. But this thing just gave us the full blue print for us. I've already updated these, so this is a little bit different. But what we're seeing virtually here is heavy resistance into this high here. Okay, virtually our gamma walls here, positive support, positive gamma here, and our negative shelves right here. So virtually what we're seeing is into this high here, we're seeing a ton of resistance. We're seeing the floor being built here. So it'd be real interesting. Set your alerts near 63.40. See if we break over the top of that, and then watch for us to try to drive up into that resistance there for a potential sell back down towards the, let me clarify, sell back down towards the floor, or break through that for an extension down. As of right now, though, we're pretty far down. Let me put this on here so I can see where we're at as I'm talking. Well, it's not going to do me after hours. 625 right now, so it puts us right around that 627 or 60, excuse me, 6270 mark on SPX. So in fact, we're way down here right now, 6270. We're way down here. So there's a ton of negative data here, all right, negative pressure here, but will likely be drawn back into that. So watch that initial morning push. I'm not telling you to take any calls, okay? I'm just saying, this is a, you'll see us drawn into this, but this is a large overhead right here. So worst case scenario, it just goes plummeting right off the rip. And at that point, we don't really have an edge today, okay? Because we're outside our markers here. The only idea that we'd have in regards to some type of play here is looking to short once we're back in this range. You could look to take some type of lotto play and look to see if you want to try to recover into this. And that's probably the most accurate thing in regards to the index here, is that they'll probably draw us back into this range only to reject us again. But there's no, based on where we're at, we're in a volatility event outside of 6340. So as long as we stay down below 6340, this is going to be a high volatility area. Key levels at 6,300. So my imagination this morning is that we'll likely be bought up from 6,270, retest 6,300 and see what happens. If we get rejected at 6,300, watch for retest to probably open and then maybe another retest. And that will be a deciding point, whether it's an extension down towards, say, like 6,250, or if it wants to break out and retest the 6340 area. So watch that key level right there as an important role in this factor. So right now, based on what we're seeing on VIX, we're seeing virtually a potential bottom, a topping in regards to where we're at. If we open and we start selling down, that's where things can really escalate and today can get out of hand and see one of those major days that you see on historical data. Let's take a look at Tesla here. I guess we're going to take a glance at the data at SPY real quick, but I'm not going to put it on the chart. Okay, just for time's sake here. Again, SPY, tons overhead right here, has us as high as 638 here, which is absurd, not going to happen. And 625 being the low. So if you're looking for some type of information on where a potential bottom is, SPY's giving us the insight here. So I'm glad we looked at this. So 625 is about 6270, about where we're at. So we'll see if we want to break below that, needing monitoring 625. A break of 625 for a larger sell below 625 for some type of volatility event where it'll just be you'll start seeing people get margin called and starting to see some massive sells if we continue to press below that. But I think we'll probably find ourselves bouncing off of this low here at 625, and we're going to see where we go from there. Let's move to Tesla. Tesla full complex here is put dominated. We were trying to find that bounce from that 317 area, and we got swallowed on that one. That's a loss for us. And this is what happens sometimes. We have a pretty high success rate, but every once in a while, you get bit, and we got bit by Tesla. We were lucky to offload some of that at break even yesterday on the retest. In retrospect, or in hindsight, we should have looked at that and said, let's offset some more. Based on kind of what we're seeing the weakness in some of the indexes. But either way, lesson learned there. But put dominated gamma conditions here. 305 is the floor here. Drive us below 305. You're going to see a pretty strong net delta flip here. So people are trying to sell some puts into this range right here. Okay. So this is driving us down in this range, but I highly doubt that we really get that push below here. But there's a large force here driving us down. Look at all the people trapped up here. We're right there. We're in that little positive net gex there. So that we're gonna probably we're gonna wait and see kind of how we respond to 305. See if it wants to drive us back up there. See if we can recover anything, but it doesn't matter. It's a loss. And full term here, full complex. You know, these shorts could drive us all the way down into like some of these larger net delta areas, all the way down into 240, 250, 250, 230. These are all on the table for Tesla here. As we could see, a potential break here will really drive us down on one of these, this wedge here, right? People will get really freaked out and probably drive us down into this 270 area that I was looking for last time we were in this range over here. So we talked about a potential pivot point, and we got the pivot point for the upside. But I'm telling you, if this doesn't look any better, we're going to start to see this thing drive towards 270 and potentially all the way down towards 220 if the market wants to see a massive pullback between 5 to 10%. I think Tesla will sell off harshly considering the failed break here. Wouldn't be surprised. Your two levels of demand here would be at 270 and down here at 220. Okay, that is if you break below 300, you need to be on alert for 270 and then 220. I know that's scary to hear, but that's the case. Okay, Nvidia still showing strength here. It's amazing. Look at, still a ton of upside, but a large short here has come in at this 170 level. Looking at today, you can see the draw towards 170 is pretty substantial. It's not anything crazy, but it's a pretty, we've got some overhead here in regards to shorts. I think we're probably going to end up at 170 here. So this is probably the most, the best I feel about any trade today on today at all, is that I feel like it's going to be drawn down towards 170, but you're going to have to deal with a split here at 172 and a half. But 175 is going to be your resistance here. So you're looking at 175 as a pivot point, and see if it wants to draw it down towards 170. Okay, so see the overhead net delta here trying to drive us down. You see the large net gex. This is the exposure here, gamma exposure, and it's trying to drive it down to 170. So this is probably my most ideal setup for today, considering that I don't like to play for indexes, but I wouldn't be surprised. So watch how we interact with 175. If you start to see a rejection off of that, look for the 175 cut. For a push down towards 170 today. If we push over 175, I would be shocked, but the upside would be 180 back up here. Okay. All right, so that covers it all. Hope everybody has a great trading day today. If you have any questions, concerns, anything like that, shoot me a message, tag me on the chat, and we'll get back to you as shortly as possible. So, hey, there's a lot of volatility today. Don't overdo it. Make your decision. Keep it small. All right. Until next time. Catch you later.